Hey again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for the latest installment in our new figure showcase series, where I take a quick look at the latest figure I'm adding into my collection and do a quick review and pose the figure up a little bit. So for today's episode, we're back to my wheelhouse and the MCU proper, looking at the 6-scale version of Valkyrie from Thor Love and Thunder. Now, it goes without saying, I love Marvel. Even with the latest dips and issues they've had, which I have to acknowledge, I'm still fully on board the MCU fandom. And one of the best parts for me as an MCU collector is getting a Hot Toys release of a character that they've never done before. Now, it's not the first Valkyrie I have in my collection. I actually picked up the Thunder Toys version from Thor Ragnarok that was pretty decent, but this is the first one made by Hot Toys, so my expectations for this figure are going to be much higher. As far as the movie, again, I didn't mind it. Did I think it was the best Marvel movie? Not even close. Did I think it was the best Thor movie, actually? Also no. I think Ragnarok and the original still hold that title for me, but I did enjoy it. It was a movie with a lot of lost opportunities for me that wasted so many things from, in particular, so many amazing storylines. Like the Jane Foster one seemed like it was relegated to just, it was there, but it could have been done so much better. And then I also felt like they wasted Christian Bale, who was easily a highlight of the movie. But for King Valkyrie, I always like seeing Valkyrie in the movies, and Tessa Thompson just brings some great humor to the role, but at the same time there's a gravitas there. It really is a great character. I'm glad Hot Toys finally found the merit in making her, because I think she was another highlight from the movie and the MCU in general. So let's take a look at what we're getting here from Hot Toys. And look, not the most loaded of releases, but there are some nice accessories beyond the standard base and extra hands. You do get some daggers, her sword, Zeus's lightning bolt, a Bluetooth speaker, and Korg's head, which is pretty awesome to be honest, and then the figure. So not a bare bones release at all, and there are some nice pieces here to really make this figure your own in the long run. So let's jump into the accessories, and we're going to start as we normally do with the hands. And you get some fists and some gripping hands to hold the accessories. The figure also comes equipped with some relaxed hands. Nothing crazy here, but these are nicely done with the black fingerless gloves containing some great detail like the added armor on the knuckles and the buckles on the wrist. But one thing I have to commend Hot Toys for is the transition with the nails. We've reviewed a few figures recently where companies are trying to bring a little bit more realism to the hands, and particularly the nails, and it doesn't always work great, but here Hot Toys did a great job making these seem extremely real. Next up, we're gonna move into the weaponry category, and we're gonna start with Zeus's lightning bolt. So immediate first reaction is pretty awesome. The molding on the bolt itself is very cool, with a nice varying yellow throughout the base, and then these effect pieces sitting around the bolt. Now, one warning, these are removable, so just keep that in mind as you pose the figure with it. They can be replaced, but that can be a little tedious. But honestly, it's a great looking piece with a nice pop of color for the figure. Next up is her sword, which looks beautiful along with the scabbard. Now, you'll notice that the scabbard doesn't have any connection points, and that's because it connects to the figure magnetically. So we'll have to see how that works, but nice looking piece overall with the blended silver and black and some nice detailing, but nothing terribly ornate, just very clean lines and patterns. Now the sword looks incredible with the blue metallic hue on the blade that really looks unique, but on top of that you have the great detailing on the hilt that really makes it visually look great and not like some simple piece of plastic, so well done. And finally, you get the two daggers that fit on sheaths on Valkyrie's boots, so you can always have them displayed on the figure. Both are identical and look pretty cool with an actual cruciform shaped blade that gives it a little bit more personality and something more unique, and then the nice pattern on the hilt and the braided handles. Paint wise, it's solid, nothing crazy, but it's a set of simple but nicely done pieces. Next, you get two metallic rings and her Bluetooth speaker. So the rings are actually arm bracelets that you have to slide onto her arm. I do like that these are separate and not molded, which kind of makes sense since the arms are rubberized and seamless, so I guess it made more sense to do this as opposed to trying to do some kind of a molded ring. I'm a fan of this, totally. I love when figures use all sorts of different materials because it again adds to the realism. And as for the speaker, it's beautifully detailed and painted, and it looks almost like a grenade, which is part of the appeal of it, although the blue and silver manages to go along nicely with the figure's overall color scheme. And final accessory is none other than Korg's head. Obviously at this point Korg has been destroyed and this is all that remained of him at the moment, so Valkyrie tied him with her braids and carries him on her head. Interesting tactic, but it made for a funny and visually interesting look that you can definitely recreate here. Korg himself is nicely molded stone pattern with all the individual pieces of chiseled stone showing his eyes and even an open mouth, and then you get what looks like a mustache but are actually pieces of Valkyrie's braids that are holding him in place. wings. Nice add to change up the figure's look. But now let's get into the figure and start with the sculpt. And at first, I thought it might be a little oversized, but once I had the figure in hand, I realized it might just be the camera angles, because the sculpt looks beautiful. I mean, first of all, scale is good, but the likeness is there. It looks like Tessa Thompson. A stoic version of her, but it's her. The detail here, again, just astounding, from her eyes to her lips and cheeks. Just an amazing job, continuing what feels like a role Hot Toys has been on lately with sculpts. And normally that would be enough, but the other standout to the sculpt is without a doubt her hair. It's such an involved style with all the braids, including some dropping down on the front side of the figure, that you just have to be careful with to avoid breaking, but they look incredible. Detail is just insane. And then looking at the sculpt from the back, the way the braids are all tied back in a bun, and some even include details and metallic bits, as well as some shades of blue, just impressive. And then the length, right? Her hair falls back down almost her entire back, so there was a lot of work that was put into getting this one right, and I'm really impressed here. And then you have some subtle nice details like the Valkyrie tattoo on her left forearm, and even having that Valkyrie symbol on the armor. It's nice, subtle detail, but very cool. So now let's look at the figure, and again, this is a standout. We've seen some great basic releases like Morbius, and also some figures with incredibly complex suits, at least visually, like the Black Adam. I do feel that Valkyrie falls closer to the Black Adam in terms of looks, because the armor she's wearing is just stunning, and that carries down to the leather pants and boots. There's so much detail to appreciate here, and the color scheme that Marvel picked, black, silver, white, and blue, is just a great color combo that really pops. Cape is fully wired in a nice vibrant blue, like silky material that just looks great, poses well, and feels great. But the highlight has to be the armor. It's very similar to what we've seen from Thor in his figures, so it makes sense as his Guardian armor, but there's also a lot of texture on the chest plate and the belts holding her sword. Everything just pops. And the boots also look great with some minor detailing in those dagger sheaths. So overall, it's just a beautiful looking figure. Now, posability is actually really great. Even with the covered seamless arms, she can achieve some nice poses, and it's clear that the elbows are double jointed, which I love. I will be a little hesitant on this one to keep her in super dynamic poses, just because I remember early Hot Toys days with rubber arms experiencing the dreaded material tear near the elbow due to stresses on the material. So it'll be interesting to see how this one holds up. And then for the legs, the material they used for her pants, honestly, I'm not sure about that one as well. It feels like pleather, which would be bad, but it's also really thin, which is also something that could be bad. So while the pants don't restrict articulation at all, which is impressive, I'm again just hesitant to push that posability for fear of long-term effects. But even so, just a great figure to pose. All of the accessories give you a wide range of display options, even including Korg himself, which is a nice feature, but the sword and the lightning bolt are easily my favorites, and I appreciate that Hot Toys put a lot of effort into her. But without fail, I think the two most impressive things about this release are the armor, which is just stunning and really eye-catching, and then even something like the scabbard's connection to the pants works well. And I do hope Hot Toys continues with that, because they use that magnetic piece well, and it's not innovative, let's be honest. We've seen other companies doing it, Exo 6, and so on. But if done well, it just avoids some of the hassles of pieces that could break. So I like what they're doing here, and I'd like to see them continue with that. But the real highlight of the figure is without a doubt the sculpt. It's just beyond impressive. The likeness to me is 100% there. The detail work is just stunning, and the hair is really what stands out. The fact that Hot Toys was able to recreate her braids in such great detail, and even the loose braids hanging on either side of her face, it's just impressive work. And the way that they made the Korg sculpt fit on, it really looks like the braids are being used to hold it in place. So it's just an impressive bit of work that Hot Toys put in here. Now, I know this movie wasn't one a lot of collectors seem to like, and I get that, but this is a really great figure to get from the line and to kind of kickstart the line. It's stunning, and I think we've been asking Hot Toys to give us Valkyrie ever since they teased her scavenger version for Ragnarok. So I'm glad to see that they delivered on her. And I do like this version, right? It's a pretty unique looking version that really stands out, and it gets me hyped up for the rest of the line, including Gore, which I should also have on the way, and the eventual release of both Thor and Jane. Not to mention, there's a Korg from a third-party company that I have in order that's been delayed, so hopefully that comes out soon. But it definitely hyped me up for that line again. I think this continues that trend of us getting great 6-scale collectibles for movies that might not necessarily merit them, but if you do give this figure a chance, I think you'll be very impressed. So that was a quick look at the 6-scale version of Valkyrie from Thor Love and Thunder by Hot Toys. I think she turned out incredibly well and is just a solid release from Hot Toys. But I am curious, as always, to hear your thoughts on this one. And also, as always, thanks for watching, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider dropping a like, comment, or subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.